My name is Jacqueline Zimmerman. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also a certified professional counselor. I have licenses in more than 2 states. I've been in the business of mental health and substance abuse for over 25 years. During those 25 years, I've worked in psychiatric hospitals, jails, prisons. I've also worked for the Department of Corrections, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Mental Health, and also the Department of Substance Abuse. In my career, I've noticed many things and many problems, and I've seen a tremendous amount of people that are suffering from substance abuse, and it even gets worse when we have to put mental health with it. I've seen so many clients die. I've seen so many clients be successful, but I've also seen so many clients struggling with what do I do when life throws me a curveball and I don't know what to do with it. I'm clean, I'm sober, but yet when life hits me with its hardest problem, I fold. And when I fold, the only thing I know to do is to relapse. And I start using drugs all over again. Sort of like a hamster on a treadmill. You keep going round and round and round. What I'd like to share with you today is that in this class on substance abuse, we will be studying how to interrupt that process. How do I stop and think before I act, before I kill myself? Or if not kill myself, continue to injure my brain and my body, suffering from substance abuse. Even more so, allowing my mental health problems to get worse and worse, simply because I don't know what to do. But today, that's going to be different. You're going to learn today how to make a difference. I have sent each of you a packet. And in that packet, you had a grading system. Did everybody receive it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And did everybody have a time to read over it?
Yes.
Yep.
Indeed.
And when you read over it, did you understand that you're not going to be graded on a curve? You're not going to be graded normally like most teachers would grade you. You're going to be graded on a point system, which we call a criterion learning form of grading, because this class is taught based upon group work. So I will be looking at how you're functioning and how well you're doing as a group. Also, you will have time to think and be able to look at situations as an individual, but you will always be talking about those things individually as well as in a group. I'd like to first find out who's in the audience. What type of backgrounds do you have? Many people come to substance abuse classes, but they come for many reasons, and they come for many concerns, and they also come because they're seeking different things because of their professions. Substance abuse is everywhere. So could I ask you to tell me what fields you are studying in? I know you're students and you're in school, but what is your focus? Annabelle, where are you studying? Agriculture. How do you think you could use information about substance abuse and agriculture?
For co-workers or people that need help that I'm working with.
Okay. Anybody else? Devin, where are you from?
I come from a military background and construction, where drugs and alcohol can often become prevalent
Okay.
due to either physical trauma or mental trauma.
Okay. Alex?
I'm in the automotive field, and I'm also in the military with Devin. But in the automotive field, I think it's important because it's a lot of physical strain on your body, and people either want to cope with that physical strain or mental strain with alcohol or whatever they feel is necessary.
Okay. And so it could be very dangerous.
Of course.
So if you could learn how to help someone to interrupt their thoughts of drug use in your field, it could probably save lives,
Exactly.
as well as in agriculture, especially if they're driving the materials and they're driving equipment. And Devin, also the military, definitely if they're out there interacting with other soldiers.
Definitely.
Keenan.
Computer science is primarily what I'm going into. I'm still deciding which fields in the computer science program because it's such a wide variety of things. But for now, I'm pretty much looking at coding and just for now, maybe software development.
And how would substance abuse, knowing
Although how substance abuse occurs to it is
you're in this
this
class.
a lot
What's
of
the reason you're in this class?
the reason why is because a lot of people, especially within the computer industry, consume a lot of caffeine, which can then become addictive, resulting in a lot of heart attacks on site.
Oh, okay. All right. So you want to learn more about substance abuse?
Correct.
Great. Thank you. Now, these are going to be what I'm going to expect from you. We call them learning objectives. What's going to be expected of you in this class today? You're going to recognize and explain the definitions of addiction and relapse. You're going to analyze and evaluate how the concepts of addiction and relapse are applicable to the film. We're going to see a film called Clean and Sober with Michael Keaton. I'm expecting you to compare and contrast whether or not addiction and relapse are more psychological or biological. I'm going to ask that you create a role play as a group based upon the 3 steps that I will teach you to interrupt a relapse and present that role play as one group before the whole class and myself. As a group, you will summarize and evaluate this class experience with myself and your classmates at the end of the class. These are the objectives that we're going to meet or attempt to meet today in our class. Any questions?
No.
Any questions? You had these objectives mailed to you in your packet before you came to class, along with your grading process, as well as a rubric on how I'm going to grade that. For example, do you remember when you read your packets that an excellent would be your ability to interact well and complete all of these objectives, interacting well and going way beyond what is required of the class and your group process?
Yes.
And that's going to be between 95 and 100 and so on. So it's not going to, so that's how you would just get your points. So you would be based on a point system. Okay,
Understood.
not A, B, C, and D. Is everybody clear?
Clear. Mhm.
Very good. All right. Let's start with some statistics talking about alcohol. The rate of alcohol-related deaths are greater than HIV. How many of you knew that? You have more alcoholic-related deaths than you have people that are diagnosed with HIV, and more people are diagnosed with alcoholism than there are with HIV. And this disease can cause less than 2% of the deaths worldwide. So it's not just an issue for the United States. Every year in the United States, 88,000 people die from alcoholic deaths. Let's look at illicit drugs. In some countries, drug overdoses rank highly on the leading causes of death. Think about it. Think about our vets that came back from war, Devin, and the military. They came back from the wars, and there were more people addicted to opiates, especially from the Vietnam area, which is my time, were caused by deaths. Did you know that there were more people dying from overdoses and road accidents than they died in the United States?
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult and large problem, not only in active or current service, or as well as veterans. And in veterans, it's even more so than active duty, because
Absolutely.
active, we get drug tested, all that, but once you become a veteran, you're kind of on your own, and often you'll be feeling lost a lot of the problems you faced while in the military.
That's awesome. But can you see that there are more people who have overdose deaths in the United States than they have car accidents? You don't have that many road accidents, but you have that many overdoses. What epidemic do we have today?
COVID-19.
And what epidemic we also have today?
Drugs and alcohol.
Yes, but the number one epidemic and pandemic that we have today is
Yeah,
opiate
opioid.
addiction. That are killing thousands and thousands of people at a faster rate than we are with the COVID-19. Let's look at a definition from the American Addiction Society Association of Addictive Medicine. And I should be saying, I have that on the slide wrong, it should be American Society Association, American Society of Addictive Medicine. Okay? So I kind of wrote that one wrong. So it's a different ASAM, please forgive me. And this is their definition, 2019, of what an addiction is. Somebody can read that for me? Can somebody read that for me? Thank you. Alex.
Addiction is a treatable chronic medical disease involving complex interactions among brain circuits, genetics, the environment, and an individual's life experience. They engage in behaviors that become compulsive and often continue despite harmful consequences.
Okay. Now let's look at the definition of relapse. Someone want to read that definition? All right, David.
For the most part, a relapse is defined as a setback that occurs during the behavior change process that progress towards the initiation or maintenance of a behavior change goal, e.g., abstinence from drug use, is interrupted by a reversion to the target behavior as a dynamic, ongoing process rather than a discrete or terminal event. Christian S. Hendershot.
Okay. Let's take a look at this. What do you see are the commonalities between an addiction and a relapse? Alex.
That a relapse can be caused by an addiction. A relapse is more like a recovery phase, but it's more of a recurring. I'd see it as more as a recurring thought. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I haven't been drinking, but I really want to drink.
Okay. Good. David?
I feel like they're a key part of both is the brain function.
See it as a brain function. Annabelle?
I would agree with what Alex said. That's more of what like I haven't done this in a while, but like I want to again.
Okay. Keep it.
I'll say it more as almost like a impulse, really. It's like you're trying to stop yourself, but you're just like, nah.
Okay. All right. So, you definitely understand this definition of relapse. And here we have a guy who's contemplating exactly what you're saying. Now we're going to have a short video on clean and sober. As you watch this film, I would like you to take notice in this film of how identify addiction, identify relapse, see how it's really played out in real life, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
God knows what we got going next month. But if it's anything like this last one, Jesus Christ.
Okay, there's one more film, King. Now this is what you saw the first part of the film. Now you're going to look at Michael Keaton giving his
I had
speech.
a few problems.
One was when he was using the first
And,
film. This film now is when he's not
I figured
using.
the only way to deal with these
30
problems
days later.
was to disappear. One of the problems was I didn't have any money. So I asked myself, where could a guy go, be totally anonymous, and get somebody else to pay for it? The answer I came up with was pretty brilliant. I figured what I would do would be I would check myself into a drug clinic. And the only trick was I had to convince the people in the drug clinic that I was an addict. So I sat in front of the place in my car and had a couple of beers. And I figured out all the language and all the gestures and moves so that I could give this really convincing performance. And somehow I did. And you fools bought it. And now, it's 30 days later, and I've been to about 9 million job interviews. I'm $52,000 in debt. And I got this chip.
And he's got this 30-day chip from AA and NA. And what do you see different from film A to film B, or film 1 to film 2? Yeah.
The difference is that in the previous film, the person was seen to be more compulsive, irrational, and he couldn't conduct himself in an orderly manner.
Right. David?
I feel like in the first film, like Alex said, he's very compulsive and very erratic. But he also was, as they say, like living in the moment. So like he was in the moment of an addiction. So he was not exactly he was not very, like aware of his addiction, and then in the second film, it seems like he's aware of it, but he doesn't take it seriously, which can lead to a relapse when you don't take it seriously.
Okay. Now, let's take a look at addiction in the brain. We're going to hear from Dr. Gutner. Dr. Gutner, addiction in the brain. And you're going to see a short film from him that tells us about how the brain works.
Whitney Houston's death has us talking about her fight with addiction for so many years, and we don't know if it played a role in her death, but we do know that for more than 23 million Americans fighting addiction, quitting, it's just not a matter of willpower. New research actually reveals that substance abuse causes lasting changes in brain function. We're going in depth this morning with our host, Sanjay Gupta, MD. Sanjay Gupta, our resident doctor, the list goes on. You do everything basically. All right, let's talk about your piece. And I guess, why did you choose, and this is your expertise, the function of the brain?
What exactly the brain looks like in someone who has addiction, who's going through this, is a pretty remarkable thing. And I think it gives us a lot of insight into how it should best be treated and to also understand it. That's what I'm trying to do here. And I want to explain a couple of things quickly. First of all, this idea that someone has some sort of anticipation of taking a substance, that's sort of the first step. But then there are two important steps after that in the brain. And stick with me here. So imagine, for example, as you take a look at this animation I'm about to show you, that someone takes a drug of some sort. What happens there, and this is the middle of the brain, is that there is a sense of euphoria. That's dopamine there, those small little particles. That makes you feel good.
That's any kind of drug? I mean, we're talking everything from cocaine to Xanax.
Yeah,
anything.
Just about any kind of drug, and not even drugs necessarily. It can be other things too, certain food substances. Sugar, for example, there can be a certain addiction quality. But I think what's important is the next step. So you have that euphoria, but in someone who's a true addict, take a look at this picture here. On the left side of the brain is, you see the bright areas? That's still feeling good. That's the euphoria. But on the right side is someone who has an addiction now, not as much of that bright spot, and that is relevant. Why? Because they need more and more of the substance to try and get that euphoria.
Okay, so got a question. Sit between the two of you, the four of you, and this is our question for today. Is addiction and relapse, is it more psychological or is it biological? Think about that question as individuals. Is it more biological or psychological? Turn to your neighbor and have a few minutes and discuss that.
So what do you think?
I think it's more psychological because it's more brain activity, and if it were to be biological, you're saying that.
Okay, can you now, let's talk about it as a group. What did you kind of come up with? Is it more biological or is it more psychological?
Psychological. That's
You think it's more psychological?
You guys agree too with that?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's more of a brain function than it is it's more of a brain need, like a need for the euphoric bursts than for the need where the body needs it.
Okay. All right. What about you, Annabelle?
I would say it's more psychological because, like, if it were biological, then that would be something like widespread, you know. But because it's like only with certain people, then it's more like them doing it to themselves.
Okay. Very good. Actually, today our brain our addiction and relapse are more biological. The more we can have these images and show them, the more that we can see more and more with the brain of an addict and the brain of someone is chemically dependent and the brain of someone is not is totally different. As your Dr. Gupta can show you. Okay? Now we're going to learn some steps to interrupt our brain processes when we're caught in the middle of wanting to use and we don't want to use. Let's look at those steps. First thing I'm going to have you do is stand up. Okay? And as you stand up, you're going to close your eyes and picture a stop sign. Just stand in your tracks. And you're going to put one hand out in front of you. And that's going to symbolize the word stop. Then you're going to breathe. You're going to inhale and hold your breath for a count of 4 seconds. Then you're going to exhale and say a word out loud as you exhale that has meaning for you, interrupting your thoughts, cravings, or urges to use a substance. You can say stop, no, kids, jail, whatever works for you. So, for example, let's inhale and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. And say your word. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, say your word out loud. Everybody at the same time.
Stop.
Calm. Okay. All right. Have a seat.
Sorry. Here you go.
Now, we're going to visualize a billboard. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again. And you're going to think of all of the negative stuff you know about drugs and alcohol. Anything you've been through with a person, a situation, you're going to visualize this negative billboard for a few seconds. Now you're going to visualize on the side of it a positive billboard of recovery. A person you know that went through a drug treatment program but now they're doing better. It could even be yourself. Now you're going to take these two billboards and you're going to run them like a movie tape over that person's life or over your own life. You're going to just run it backwards to the first time you realize they had a problem. And your billboard, open your eyes. Your billboard should look something like this. And they spoke of Whitney Houston. This is Whitney Houston before. That's Whitney Houston on drugs. Now we're going to do the 5, then you're going to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 model. Are you ready? Acknowledge 5 things you see around you. David?
5 things I see. A fan.
Fan.
Blinds.
Blinds.
Shoes.
Shoes.
Computer.
Computer.
A pencil.
Pencil. Okay. Now, Alex, you're going to acknowledge 4 things that you can touch right now. Devin.
Pencil.
Pencil.
Paper.
Paper.
And couch.
Couch. Annabelle, you're going to acknowledge 3 things that you hear around you.
Paper, wrestling.
Paper.
Voices.
Voices.
A fan.
A what?
A fan.
A fan. Keenan?
Let's see. Something I can touch.
You're going to acknowledge 2 things you can smell around you.
Dry erase marker.
Eraser
and
marker.
pie.
And what?
Pie.
Pie. Okay. And I'm going to acknowledge 1 thing I can taste. And that is coffee. Okay? You all think you got this? Now you're going to stop. You're going to take your 5 minutes or so. You're going to get together and you're going to get right in here. You're going to create your, you have a handout, and then you're going to create your,
Skip.
your role play. Okay? But first you're going to stand up. Take a long deep breath. Hold it and let it go. And now you're going to get together. Okay? Ready? You have your instructions. Here they are. Each group member will participate in the creation of a role play. You're going to apply these 3 steps. Prevent a relapse when synthesized by synthesizing information you learned today. You have 5 minutes, and you're going to rehearse that, and then you have 3 minutes to present.
So 1 person has to play the addict. 1 person has to play the doctor. 1 person has to bring it into it, and then 1 person has to.
Wait, like the driver or something?
Or just like another friend person or another person. Okay.
Okay, so you're going to make sure you rehearse it.
Okay. So who wants to play the doctor?
You have the hat on. You can be a doctor.
Okay.
You just go through the stuff.
Okay.
Alright.
Want me to be the editor?
I'll be the addict.
You play the editor?
Okay.
Alright. I'll be your friend support in case you just
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, y'all going to rehearse it first a little bit?
I think we're ready.
Yeah, we just
Well, I need to see you rehearse it just a little bit.
Okay.
already then, so we'll just
Just rehearse.
alright. Doctor, my friend here, right here, my friend. He thinks he's an addict. You think you can help him? Got any steps?
Well, I do have a few steps. Just take a seat right over here.
My friend. And this right here is his lovely lady.
Well,
My friend.
so it's clear that you guys have an addict. but you're here today to prevent this or stop it in its tracks, right? So what you want to do is that you want to.
Dang it, no, let's do it again. We can fix it better when we actually do it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think we're ready for that. That was a little rehearsal because I messed something up. So let's go ahead and let's do the real thing, alright?
You are ready for your real thing? Okay. You got 3 minutes to do your role play. You're all clear before you start. Are you clear on your directions?
Yes.
Yep.
Are you clear on your role?
Yes.
Yes.
Look like you left Annabelle out there for a minute.
That's why we're like, wait a minute. This
Annabelle, you have a lot you can say as well. Because family members have a lot of concerns when their loved ones have an addict problem. So treat Devin as though he really has a drug problem and you just let go. Okay?
Say like, oh, yeah.
You think you're all ready? Want to rehearse anymore?
Let me see. If we do this one more time.
You think you need any more rehearsal time?
No?
You ready? Okay. And you know that you will be using these steps.
Correct.
So you want to keep this with you maybe just as a guide?
Okay? Yeah, okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey, doctor, this is my friend Devin Park. He's feeling like addicted to like some kind of drug. I think like cigarettes or something, but he needs some help.
I feel like I'm gonna have a relapse.
Well, what we can do right now is that we can try to stop it in its tracks, but the best thing that you can do right now is control the urges that you have right now. So why don't you take a seat right here? All of you take a seat.
Well,
So-
is there any medicine we can give him because he's been extremely irrational and he hasn't been himself and we're all super worried about him?
Well, I say that medicine is the last step that we take, but we want to make sure that we can get through this. How should I say this? Psychologically.
Well, the thing is, Doc, it's like because of this whole social distancing and quarantine and COVID-19, I can't leave my house. I can't go see my counselor in person, and I just feel like I'm on edge, you know.
Well, it's okay because there's a few steps that you can do to make sure that you can try to prevent those urges. So, what you want to do is that you want to close your eyes and picture a stop sign in your mind, just any stop sign or any stop symbol, and you want to stop yourself in your tracks, right? It's essentially you want to pause, right? And what you want to do is put out one of your hands. Take a real deep breath, inhale and exhale through the mouth. And say a word that, something that calms you down.
Stop.
There you go. But those are one of the few steps that you can do to help yourself. As family members or the loved ones of Devin, you can also help them by doing the exercises or convincing them that that you're there with them. Devin right now needs your help the most, especially right now. He's going through a relapse, and I think it's the perfect time and the only time that you can really help him right now.
Okay.
Be supportive.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Now, we're going to all sit together. What did you learn today that can help you in your particular field? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I did a great job.
I learned breathing really helps. It calms us down.
Okay. What did you learn, Devin?
And this is just personally for me, I feel like the 5 steps method cannot only be used for relapse, but for general anxiety and depression.
Yeah, okay. Annabelle?
I learned a few ways to help people calm down and how to help them if they are going through relapse or drug issues.
And what way did you learn?
With like the breathing and like taking them to like a facility or something where they can get like professional help
Okay.
instead of just staying quiet about the whole thing.
Okay. Wonderful. 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 I think you got this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice picture.
And I want to thank you for your help today. I appreciate it. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you.
And Mr. Keenan behind the camera. We want to thank you especially for all of your help and helping us with the camera work today. Thank you for being part of this. Have a great day. And I'll see you in class next week.
Good. Whew, I was starting to be worried.
Well, we...
So these are your references, doctor?
Got more than one set.
Okay, and where's the final one? All right, perfect.